or welcome back to Chemistry with Kismet Tarot. I'm Monica, the Kismet Chemist. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Welcome to the family. It is a true honor to have you here. If you are returning, welcome back, my loves. I have missed you. All right, guys. So I had actually sat down and channeled pick-a-card messages for about 2.5 months, 3 months down the road, back in October. And, you know, sometimes when that stuff happens, life just kind of gets in the way and plans change. When I was finishing up the synchronicities video, I started working with clearing the cards like I do. I will separate them all back into their individual decks and then start shuffling them. But when I got to the Crystal Wisdoms cards, these ones that are here, I actually got another message, and it was about doing a series called Gifts from Mother Earth series. And it's going to be a 6-part video series that focuses on different aspects of blessings, gifts, and wisdom that comes from things of the earth. So we're going to start with crystals, and we're going to be looking at trees, herbs, roses, some animals, and then we're going to go off into the mystical and the magical with fairies and dragons and everything like that. So I'm really excited about this series. It felt so important, so very deeply called within my being to do these messages. So I hope that you enjoy them. Today's reading, we are getting messages from the crystals. These are going to be crystal blessings. So I pre-shuffled the cards and then I pulled out some runes. I can't guarantee that we're going to continue to do runes for every reading. This one was very resonant for it. So I'm just kind of going with my intuition. And if you watched my synchronicities video, I am doing a bit of a shift and a change to make this channel more interactive for you guys, in the sense of not just you guys commenting and me commenting back and things like that. But I have sat down with the guides and with spirit, and for each pile, I'm giving, or I'm wow. Okay. Yeah. I am opening myself up to receive different messages, signs, symbols, synchronicities. And this time around, there were just some few sections very specific to each pile, each card, and then journal prompts. I will bring those up when we start each pile so that you guys can see them, screenshot them if you want to. I will also put those on the community tab on my home channel page, so that if you want to reference back, in case you don't get to screenshot or it's just not your forte, not a big deal. But this way you guys can go ahead and have access to these. I consider it kind of coaching tools, things to help you expand yourself and your inner journey and your connection with spirit in your own way, with a little bit of guidance from the guides themselves. So with that, like I said, all of those cards will be in the beginning of each pile, and they will also be on the community tab. If you guys can't tell, I'm having a little bit of a struggle right now currently, with the holiday season coming around. It is my first Christmas without my grandmother in my life, and the emotions of it are really getting to me. So before I open to direct channel and bring these messages forth, I did want to just let you guys know, my intro is a bit shaky and kind of all over the place today. It is quite literally because my consciousness is kind of split between going through the mourning process and the grieving process, while also wanting to be of service and really working to fulfill this true purpose and passion and path that I feel in my life. And I know that a big proponent of me being here every single reading that I show up for me saying I need this break when I need a break, for the amount of love and support that I have had from this channel. I know that she is with me in spirit and that she is such a strong proponent of this entire channel. And I want to say thank you to you guys because of grieving and healing in both a spiritual and a very, very down to earth way, and in a very big way, until I feel as though I have really moved beyond it. But I understand that there is a purpose for everything. And so I trust in the purpose. It's literally like I can feel her energy just kind of zinging all over the place and being like rallying the guides and bringing forth the energies in the collective so that, you know, these messages get out. And in such a big way that it's shown all of these things, and knowing that you guys are all here in a big way because she brought you in a whole new way here. And I spent so much of my life feeling very, very alone and very isolated, misunderstood, and really, really in a lot of pain, feeling as though I was never going to find a place in this world. And you guys in this community, you come here willingly and openly and lovingly and so supportively. And you remind me every time that I sit down to channel, and you remind me every time that you are here to receive these messages. And every time you allow them to reach into your heart and reach into your soul and inspire you to take one more step forward in life and to keep going and to keep finding your way through the darkness to the light and to continue to believe in yourself the way that I believe in you. You remind me that I'm not alone, that there is a greater purpose for me in the world, and that there is a place in this world that I belong because we all belong there together. And I want you all to know this holiday season, as challenging emotionally as it is for me, I have found profound peace through this community. And I am so grateful for you guys. Okay, enough of the emotions. We have 4 piles. I didn't do the reading breakdown for the last one, and I don't know, like, I haven't gotten any feedback from you guys, so I don't know whether you guys like the reading breakdown, whether you guys really care, or whether you just want to flow with readings. If any of you guys have any input on that, please feel free. Otherwise, I'm just gonna kind of go with my intuition. We're going to be working with 1 tarot deck and 2 oracle decks. I will go over their intentions during the readings, and we'll just kind of flow with this one, and then we'll see, you know, how it goes. So pile 1, we have the card number 42 with Kambaba Jasper. And we also have the Ingu's rune, which is also connected to the Ingwaz rune. But we'll get more into that on that pile's reading. Pile 2, we have the card number 21 with Selenite. And we have the Isa rune. Pile number 3, it's the card 25 with Anandalite. And it is the Othila or Othala rune. And pile number 4, we have the card number 27 with Golden Healer and the Hagalaz rune. I'm going to go ahead and put on the birdsong meditation music that we have been using for quite a while. I really love it. It really gets me, it just gets me right in the feels. So I'll put that on for you guys. Get tapped in. Allow yourself to release the tension in your shoulders, in your jaws, in your chest. Take a deep breath in. Release it. And allow your hearts and your minds to clear so that your intuition and your inner voice can lead you to the pile or piles in which you have messages. Trust yourself. trust your guides, and trust spirit to lead you. And I will see you all at your piles. Timestamps are in the description box below. Hello, pile one. If you chose the first card, the Kambaba Jasper, card number 42, as well as the Ingu's or Ingwa's rune, this is your message of crystal blessings. So before we get too far into it, I mentioned in the intro that these are just some guidance, journal prompts, things for you to look up, maybe some frequencies that are meant to help you, colors, numbers. And with the numbers, I actually got more specified areas to look, like angel numbers, the Tao Te Ching, and what they mean numerologically outside of angel numbers, and then the colors, which are deeply correlated to the Kambaba Jasper, which didn't quite surprise me. And then these are your journal prompts. So if you are one to want to take a screenshot, that was up there for you. It'll also be on the screen, and it's actually pretty clear. I'm impressed. All right, so we're going to get into your written channeled message first. So the first thing that I got with your energy was the moon phases, primarily the waxing crescent and the first quarter moon. And then I heard echoes of ancient wisdom within our bones can be heard in the deepest parts of winter's wind, amongst the barren branches of the leafless trees, teaching you through silence and rest of the ancestral healing you are doing. Lay thine hand upon the center of thine breast, as the heart's beating harmonizes with the inhale and exhale of divine breath. And that was something that I channeled, and it felt like it came directly from the ancestors, and especially from Mother Earth. And I was shown someone sitting down with their right hand over their chest, and they were breathing in and out and feeling the pulsing of, or the beating of their heart, and slowing it down consciously by aligning it with the breath, calming the self, resting the self, and going into a kind of contemplative state. So it's more of a state of relaxation and receptivity, but you're also able to utilize your mind in harmony with your heart in this one. And the message beyond that I got is when you pause the monkey mind, the racing to discover what you are attempting to find, alignment of the head and heart within you contains the knowledge and wisdom. Ingus is a next cycle, the inheritance of Ingwas, that which is contained within, and upon the initiative beginning becomes Ingus and the inner journey to discover your intuitive harmonization. There is change coming, Pile One, if you so choose, to break into the love you have always contained. When you choose to heed the call into the shadowy darkness, a gift becomes tangible within. Bravery and courage, some would call your journey, but others may say destiny, fate, kismet. When you come to the edge of reason, will you leap into experience? Do you hope? Do you hold this hope as your light? Will you allow it to strengthen into certainty of healing from within your being? Cycles are pattern makers and pattern breakers. You hold the choice to end, beginning anew, and bring fertile creativity into physical form through breaking and making if you choose. The nature of your channeled message is incredibly mystical. I associate that with like a mystic or a sage energy, which I absolutely love for you guys. I did also want to show you this. So when I was shown Ingus and Ingwas, because Ingwas is this center point. It's just the diamond in the center. But Gebo or gift is an X. And when you put one on top of the other, then we have the gifts from above and the gifts from below. And when they come together, they form the container of you. And they are only made tangible from within you, from within yourself. And it said the revelation of you being the holder or the container of heavenly and earthly gifts and blessings. And I'm going to leave this part up because if you guys need the other side, it's going to be on the community tab as well. But with this, one of the big things that I got from this is about the message about patterns are, what was it? Cycles are pattern makers and pattern breakers. So when we think about the moon goes in cycles. It's got an 8 lunation phase cycle. And it does this every 29.5 days. So the moon goes through every lunation cycle and it goes through a variety of signs with a focus on whatever modality the sun is in for the primary moon phases. So if the sun is in, say, Sagittarius, that is a mutable modality. The moon during that time frame, depending on how things are lining up, will be in mutable signs for their primary moon phases. That is the new moon, the first quarter moon, the full moon, and the third quarter moon. These are cycles and flows and energies that we go through every month. Every single month we do this, but there are bigger cycles. The sun goes in a entire cycle through the entire zodiac from the spring equinox until the end of Pisces season and the next spring equinox. We have that entire year. And then we can look at the Gregorian calendar and how we go from January to December. And that is a cycle in and of itself. And then we can look at numerologically our birth date and the year that we're in for what year energy, numerologically energy that we are in that year. We can look at perfection years in astrology and our progression charts and our solar return charts. And we can look at Saturn and Saturn's return and Saturn's second return. And we can look at a nodal return. These are all different cycles. And within every cycle, patterns arise. It's like when the moon is moving through, you know that there's a specific pattern of the way that the moon is going to be in the skies based off of timing and the location of the sun, because the moon's illumination is based off of the energy of the sun and how the sun reflects off of the moon to show us more outside of ourselves, the pieces outside of ourselves that we feel like we're missing. And so we can get into these cycles and we can get into these patterns that are of our own making or patterns of someone else's making. I think about in that nature, like the Gregorian calendar versus the zodiacal calendar, and how time is a construct that humanity created, and then they recreated and recreated and recreated it in order to try and unify and what's the word I'm looking for? Spirit. Not necessarily unify. Unify doesn't feel right. I think it starts with a C, and my brain is blanking on what the word is. Thank you, Spirit. Conformity is the word that I'm looking for. So they use the calendar year to bring a conformity of time. And then things started shifting with planet Earth itself, spinning faster, its axis and tilt changing. And so we go through these things and we keep trying to bring solidity and uniformity and conformity through these patterns. So we make these new patterns, we make these things, and then we allow the cycles to pass and to go through so that we know that this is something that is consistent. This is something that is a constant until somebody decides to change it. Now they're breaking the pattern and they're making a new pattern. And if we take this into consideration, and especially for you, Pile 1, this is asking you to take into consideration the fact that if someone out in the world, out in history can be like, you know what, we're not going to tell time this way anymore. We're going to tell time this way now. And so they change the nature and the way in which time is dictated within the world. And people just do it because there's power in these, whatever. When you recognize a pattern in your life, and whether or not that pattern is healthy for you, whether it allows you to embody your gifts and to open yourself up and to be open to the world, whether it allows you to move beyond constantly starting something new and never getting beyond that new beginning energy. And now you have this opportunity to go, you know what? I want to move into the initiation phase. I've gone through this new pattern. I've gone through this new beginning. I've gone through this new cycle, and I'm done with this newness. I want to move into the initiation, the creation, the collaboration with spirit. I want to move into the embodiment of the gifts that I have from my higher self and the gifts that I have anchored down into my Earth Star chakra. I want to really, truly hold these gifts within myself and share them with the world in the way in which I am called. These things, these energies within you, they're asking you, and your ancestors, especially in this pile, are asking you to realize that you have the ability right now and the blessing available to you if you choose. And it is up to you to choose. You have the ability to allow yourself to see that you are the container of all of these gifts. And yeah, these things can make someone feel estranged or different, but they're also meant to make you understand that you are unique and that you have a special purpose here. And that doesn't mean that you're more special than anybody else, and it doesn't mean you're less special than anybody else. It means that the divine spark within you is here for something that is unique to you. And just like humanity is this great mosaic of a jigsaw puzzle, if we don't have every piece in the puzzle, then it is perpetually incomplete, and you complete the puzzle. Your uniqueness, your beautiful mosaic energy coming in to the mosaic of the humanity puzzle of all things and all people and all places. You make us complete. You make humanity complete. And this is a gift. It's a blessing, and you hold it within yourself. But when we get stuck in that perpetual cycle of, I'm going to start anew, and then I get too scared to start taking that next step, then we defeat ourselves before we try. And so the ancestors and the crystal wisdom here is about helping you realize that you have the ability to transcend beyond that phase. That you have the ability to recognize what patterns are meant to be made by you and which ones are meant to be broken by you. And to realize that in breaking certain patterns, you also break the container of yourself open in order for the gifts to come in. So the tarot cards down on the bottom represent the manifestation of your blessings. We have angels and auras up here, which is going to be a representation of lights and shadows within you that are coming back into balance or available for you to bring into balance. And then we just have these 2/7 energy cards that we are going to take a look at for energy, wisdom, and guidance. And guys, if there is a delay, I can see it on my screen right now in filming. If there is a delay between the two, I think my computer was doing some updates, but I also know that tomorrow actually initiates Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. So I'm kind of flowing with however the tech wants to work. And I know that this particular retrograde cycle has felt really like good for me energetically. But if there's a little bit of a delay, please bear with me in the technology. This is more about the message and the communication than the imagery this time. And I wouldn't normally say that because I've got all this stuff on camera, but that's what came through. So, okay, no more disclaimers. Let's see the manifestation of your blessings. We have the 3 of Wands, the Page of Swords, and the 8 of Swords. Now, the 8 of Swords was the back of the deck, the shadow energy. And this is really important for this to be here because normally I don't keep the back of the deck energy out in my readings. I let jumper cards come out. But I felt really called to pulling back of the deck energy for you guys with this card as well as for this card. So these 2 cards really do represent a part of the shadows that are being brought back into balance, and we'll be able to see which shadows with this card. But how this is manifesting is this 3 of Wands is so reminiscent of that new beginning, waiting for initiation energy. And your guides and your ancestors are saying, you already know where you're going. You know what span or what distance you have crossed in order to get here, but you're trapping yourself within your own mind. And that came in like the first message of getting out of your monkey mind and aligning your heart and your breath, and then allowing for your mind to go silent so that it can also align with your heart and your breath. So your inner voice can come out and tell you that the reflection that you're seeing of you being stuck, you being trapped, you being locked down or tied up, that reflection is something that is showing you what you contain within you that is actually blocking you from being able to break open in order to accept those gifts. And it's because when we stand on the precipice and we're perpetually waiting, we're waiting for a sign, we're waiting for a message, we're waiting for a certain synchronicity, we're waiting for something, but we don't necessarily know what we're waiting for. And because we don't know what we're waiting for, our guides don't know what it is that is really holding us up. The truth is that we're holding ourselves up here. Something that I did with my guides, and I want to say it was a reader that had suggested this, or it was in a book. Anyway, it might have been talking to your spirit guides or something like that. But what was suggested was to give a specificity to your guides of something for them to use as a synchronicity that is personal and specific to you. And so in times where you're interacting with certain things out in the world and something gets said, and it seems so out of the ordinary for it to be said. And I had this happen to me the other day with my very particular request from my guide, so that I knew that I was like, this is something that I meant to interact with. It really hits you out of left field. So for me, I picked a fruit. It's not a fruit often talked about. It's not a fruit that is common to eat. It really isn't, but it's something that is deeply resonant with me personally. And so I picked this fruit, and I tell you what, it was so funny because I'd go out and I'd start interacting with the world, and all of a sudden, randomly, some reader on YouTube, or just recently, in one of the audiobooks I'm listening to that is called, I think it's called How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LaPera. She starts talking about this fruit in like exacting detail of all of it, walking you through a visualization with it. And I was so profoundly moved by the fact that I was still getting these, because I set that intention a year and a half ago. And yet my guides know in those moments, especially lately where I have been struggling, they know like, hey, we're just going to throw this little thing in there. And I just thought it was so funny. I was on my way to the grocery store or on my way to the pharmacy, and I had these like happy tears start coming out of my eyes. And I was like, thank you guys so much. Like, we still got it. So when you're sitting here and you're waiting for something, you're waiting for a sign or a synchronicity, you're waiting for some external confirmation, but it's an external confirmation, not from another person, but from your guides, from spirit, from the universe. Because when we're on this kind of higher level spiritual journey, sometimes we need that reassurance. And I understand that completely. So there's zero judgment or criticism here. I definitely understand that. That's why I'm bringing up this very specific thing, because you're standing on this precipice and you're ready. And I can feel how ready you are. But that cycle of begin and pause, begin and pause, begin and pause, so that you don't ever really get beyond the beginning. So you're always in that kind of new stage, rather than embodying the beginner mindset in the initiation phase and in the progression phase, which is what your guides are calling you to do here. Especially with this Page of Swords, is very, very much beginner mindset. It's like, to me, Page of Swords is kind of like a secondary Fool energy. And especially in this case, they want you to start interacting with things out in the outside world, interacting and allowing your mind to become less monkey and more, I'm getting lasered or focused, but I'm also getting like for me with my ADHD, and I hyperfocus, or I have a hyperfixation on certain things that I just know are right for me. And so I lose time because it just is so enthralling for me. I get that way with the gene keys. This is, your guides want you to set something specific. It can be a piece of fruit. It can be a tree. It can be a flower. It can be a type of animal. Make it something that isn't a hugely common thing. So like if you say, I set the intention that, you come to me through crows. Crows are an incredibly common spiritual messenger. Go for something that is more unique, but personal to you. If crows are deeply personal to you and they know why, and you know why, and you know that the context of a crow coming through in a message within certain realms is exactly what you need to hear, exactly how you need to hear it, then go with that. But this also helps you build that relationship with your ancestors, build that relationship with your guides, and really nurture it more fully. So let's take a look at some of the energy guidance that you guys have for doing this, setting this intention. We have a higher view. Card number 41. This is exactly right. This is what is meant to help pull you up above the foray, above that singular precipice moment so that you can move forward, so that you can move across that tightrope, or you can leap across the chasm of what it is that is between where you are now and where you know you're heading. Give yourself this higher view. When you ask your guides for this, they're going to be able to break through this pattern, this lockdown pattern. And I just got this like huge wave of energy of the message essentially is, please don't feel ashamed for trapping yourself. Stronger souls get trapped all the time. It is in the nature of how you get yourself out. And you are the strongest, which means that you will always get yourself out. There is no shame, guilt, or blame in this moment, for this is a revelation of where you feel inadequate or unworthy of becoming the vessel of embodying these gifts. You already have them. They're waiting, they're pressing down. And that can feel like pressure. It can feel like trapped when you have those energies pushing on you on both sides, but they're trying to create enough tension to break the barrier of the trapped energy within you so that you can move beyond that phase and into the next one. So let's take a look at that other shadow energy, the call of the muse. Literally, it's about you allowing yourself to start creating, start making. You lock yourself down and get afraid of that creativity spark. And it's okay, guys. I do the same thing. I hold creativity in such a high honor in my life. It is a blessing for me to be able to create on an everyday basis. It is truly like one of the greatest blessings of my life. And so that can get tangled up in the mind. It absolutely can. When you feel like you're being called somewhere, called to create, but you're not really sure where you're going and you're stuck on this precipice, when you need that higher view, you hold the ability to connect above and below to really anchor in and break yourself open and realize where the trapped energy has been and where you are being called to dance more with light. I was going to say life, but light came through. That's curious. So let's see the lights and shadows balancing. It says angels are watching over you. The card 14. We have 14, 41. We have 31, 3. So ones, threes, fours. I don't know if ones and threes were on here. We have 4, 6, 8, 10, 22, 42, and 82. Interesting. But it says angels are watching over you. And it says supported, protected, loved, and encouraged. And in the shadow, it is deserted, alone, neglected, and discouraged. And I'm going to keep the shadow energy up because this is what you're bringing back into balance. This is what you're overcoming by allowing yourself to hear the call of the muse, by allowing yourself to realize that you really are loved and supported all the time, that you really are being watched over. When you start... I told you guys I was going to leave it in the shadow, and literally they're like, no. I love your guides so much. They want you to realize how loved and supported you are. They want you to realize how much they are right there with you all the time, that they have so many things that they want to bring in. And so they need you to take that first step, that initiation step, connect, ask for something. And it doesn't have to be a huge ritual. You can literally say, okay, I want my sign or my synchronicity to be a pine cone. And so when I go out and I hear somebody talking and they say something about a pine cone, okay. Or someone's doing a reading and a pine cone comes up. or there is a thumbnail on YouTube and it has a pine cone in it. I know that those are things I'm meant to interact with. And you set this intention and your guides go, awesome, you're reaching out. Awesome, you're connecting. Awesome, you're giving us the bridge. You have officially moved in that moment from that precipice, that new into initiation. Now the lights come on. Now the connections start building. Now the synchronicities amplify. And now you start really getting into freeing yourself up so you can hear that calling of the muse, so that you can break into that. And I am being brought back to the journal prompts. And especially this top one, it's about hope. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to allow yourself to hope and to trust? To trust in the wisdom and in the love and in the messages and in the support. What does it mean to you to have that be received in your life? For me, it meant that the darkness never, ever trapped me for long. It meant that I knew that as deeply loving of a person as I am, and as attached as I tend to get, thanks to my Cancerian and my Leo energies, to the people that matter in my life, to the constants like my grandmother or my father or my brother or my grandfather, my cousin. I've lost a lot of people in my life. They're never gone. They're never absent from my life. And hope means that I will be with them again in whatever way comes after this. Hope means that even though I'm walking through darkness and traveling through pain, I still have love and support from my guides and from spirit and from the universe and from my ancestors and from so many people. That's what it means to me. It means that it brings me back to a certainty of self. And that all things are transitionable, are changeable. Patterns can be broken. New ones, healthy ones can be made. We can break ourselves free of the ties that bind and the chains that anchor us. And we can dance free with the stars and the skies and the earth and the cycles of the moon and the patterns in the cosmos and the stories of the clouds. We can dance and play and sing and hear the call of the muse and move that way because we are loved and supported in the creativity that we are here to embody. Pile one, you are meant for this if you so choose. And me personally, I hope you do, because this is a beautiful blessing. Freedom and creativity and connection and love and support. It's so beautiful. This is the message I have for you guys. I truly hope it resonated. I truly hope it helped. If you guys discover anything of interest that you want to share within, the numbers, the colors, the frequencies, anything like that, I know I would love to know. And, as I said, I want to make this more interactive. And this is genuinely not me trying to push for more comments and activity on my channel. I just want you guys to know that as of right now, if you guys interact with each other in the comment section and share these different insights, we really can change the world together. That's my hope. That's my goal. And I'm blessed to have you guys in this community doing that with me. Pile one, I hope you take the time with me now to say thank you to the guides, to the ancestors, to spirit, to the universe, to all the loving energies all around all of us all the time, filling us with truth and light and love and asking for connection and opening to connection and helping us to become more open to who we are, to our gifts, to our blessings, and to a greater life and awakening and consciousness and way of living, so that we might feel that joy flowing through us, from you, and then out of us to the rest of the world, to create a ripple effect of change. Thank you so much for reaching out to Pile 1. Thank you for guiding them here so that they may feel and know and truly open to taking that next step to creating the life, to creating the art, to creating whatever it is, to understanding that they are a creator. And thank you for bringing them to this community. Thank you. Thank you for Pile 1, the whole collective of Pile 1, for their existence in this world during this time. For they bring joy to many, even if they don't see it yet. Thank you. Pile 1, if it resonated, you guys want to support my channel, there are all the fun YouTube things. There are links in the description box to donate to my Amazon author page, all that fun stuff. Or you guys can just send me an energetic hug. You don't have to do anything for me to know. It's one of the joys of this community. I'm going to leave you guys here. I hope you have a beautiful day, a beautiful night, a beautiful weekend, a beautiful everything. And just know that you're never alone and that I will always believe in you. And so will your guides. I love you, Pile 1. I will see you at my next reading. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose the second crystal wisdom, the card number 21 was selenite, as well as the Isa rune, this is your message about crystal blessings. So before we get into the channeled message, I'm going to go ahead and put this up here for you guys. So these are the different signs and synchronicities, and I got to make sure that you guys can actually read everything. And the journal prompts. These are things that you guys can take a look at. I know with the astrology it was very specific, but the chakras, the colors, and then there's, the journal prompts if you want to work through them. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. If you guys want to screenshot it, please feel free. I'm going to keep it up here as well, just in case you guys want to write it down, if you guys can read this smaller print. If screenshotting is not your forte, but you still want access to this, after this goes out and goes live, I will have the pictures and everything up on my community tab. My brain just totally shut off for a second there. This has been happening, but we're going to go into your channeled message. So Pile 2, spirituality is a calling for some. Others, it's a purpose. Others still, it's a gateway. But for all, it is meaning. It is the order in the grand cosmic chaos of a world in perpetual change. The meaning here, Pile 2, is the awareness which dawns upon the clear, icy waters, showing the truth of things all the world seeks to label, define, and identify. Ego, mind, heart, soul. What these are merely words we grapple to make sense of and to learn of the I, the am, the self, and the all. None determine your own truths, but when we allow our truths to become frozen, whether through others or through our own inner mental ministrations, we must allow for the freeze to enlighten. Light and heat, passionate, loving truth, and purposeful sparks within will give exactly the delicate top thought to navigate across a frozen chasm of illusion and authenticity. This is how you may glide forth and find your truth, unifying water with fire, air with earth, masculine with feminine, and the truest spirituality of you. Within the all, there is one, and within one exists all. Spirituality is something that we choose. I believe spirituality is something that our souls choose. There are people who choose to follow a religious path. There are people who choose to follow an atheistic path. There are people who choose polytheism. There are people who choose even Satanism. I mean, there are people who walk through this life and a part of their soul has chosen to engage in something. Whether that is because their soul wanted to experience non-belief or belief in a different way or belief in a traditional way or belief, however, to me, at the end of the day, it all comes down to all the different ways in which we can experience spirit. Even not identifying and not labeling it as spirit, as the universe, as God, as I am. Yes, there is that movement. Yes, there is that awareness. And that grows daily in this world. But there was a time when polytheism was the norm, where spirit was broken down into different deities, different archetypes, different energies, all the same, but manifested differently. And then we went to a monotheistic religion with Mithras, and then with Christ and Christianity and, the more structural religion that exists today. And it ebbs and flows and changes as it must. But to me, it's all about what we choose in our souls to experience. To me, spirit is literally in everything, in everyone, everywhere, all the time. So it doesn't matter if I say Anubis or Osiris, those are just versions of the same energy. But that is my truth. You have this selenite stone, and it's this great spiritual cleansing and this awareness of the unity of everything and of a calling within yourself, whether it's a calling or finding purpose or finding meaning or finding your path to healing, something within the spiritual community, something within the spiritual realm is calling to you to help you recognize that the parts that have been frozen within you, the parts that have been iced over because the mind goes too fast, the heart gets lost, and the clock keeps ticking, and we just can't stop all the mental games and perceptions and pains because everybody thinks something different. Everyone has a different truth. Everybody frames their truth differently, and your truth could be different than mine and different than your neighbors and different than your mom's. And if all of these truths are different, then what really is the truth? And we get frozen and we get stuck and we don't know what to do and we don't know how to move, and we want to believe more. We want to believe that there is more because that spirituality path calls us into that energy. Pile 2, your heart and your soul are being limited based off of a perception, based off of an ideation. The question is this perception or ideation that is limiting your heart and your soul? Is it yours? When I channeled the message about gliding, about getting that top thaw for you to be able to glide. I saw your energy in the form of a swan. And swans don't stick around when there's ice. They're just like ducks and geese. They disappear when there's ice because it's too cold. But I saw this beautiful, elegant, pure white swan gliding on the ice because it knew it was already warming. It was already thawing. And so it didn't need to wait for the water to come back because it was able to cross the frozen, what looks like a frozen river to me. The frozen river, it was able to cross it to go to the other side, to get to the spring, to get to the clearing, to get to the cleansing, to get to the cleaning, to get to the path and the purpose and the truth. The swan didn't think about it. It didn't test it. It looked, it witnessed, and it knew. And you were the swan, pile 2. You were the swan that was going across the surface of the water. You were realizing that it doesn't matter how frozen certain things are. When we embrace the divine spark within us, that divine spark of fire and light and truth and warmth and love, unconditional spiritual love, when we embrace that, we melt just the top so that we can go across it. And what needs to stay frozen can stay frozen, but it is not for us to engage with what is frozen when it was not us that froze it. So let's talk about the cards, because your guides are actually leading me to do it a little bit differently. The tarot cards down here are a manifestation of your blessings. This is the Angels and Auras deck, and it is the lights and shadows that are being brought into balance through these blessings. And these are energy, wisdom, and guidance. They actually want me to look at the shadows and light blessings first. So we have Guardian Angel with what? Oh my gosh, you guys. Seriously? This is literally just what I was saying. What? Literally, that could be a swan. That could be a swan right there. Oh my gosh. Okay, it says the light is protection, clarity, spirituality, and wisdom. And the shadow is vulnerable, cluttered, shadow, and confusion. So this is about you getting that clarity upon what it means to be spiritual. Clarity upon where your shadows lie and how they impact you. And I will always be the reader and the teacher and the mentor and the coach that will sit here and say, your shadows are not to be feared. Your shadows are not a weakness. Your shadows are not a bad or brokenness within you. Your shadows are the parts of you that did not receive love, acceptance, protection as you were growing. And so they became shadows because we repressed these parts of ourselves. I had a breakthrough the other day, and I'm going to share it with you guys because my guides are showing me. I'm going to share a portion of it, not all of it. It's a very deep personal thing. But I had a breakthrough about a memory that I had when I was a kid where I got in trouble for something that the way that I was parented in that moment made me feel wrong, made me feel bad. I felt broken. I was 3 or 4 years old, and I felt broken because I wanted to comfort and nurture somebody, and I didn't understand the context of the situation. And my parents were embarrassed, and it was all just this big, huge thing. But in that moment, I repressed a huge portion of me that said, I love and I want to heal and I want to nurture and I want to love and I want to be tender and kind and gentle. I want to help because I am so deeply empathetic. But I thought that part of me was bad and wrong. And it's not my parents' fault because they genuinely didn't know what fueled me. It wasn't something talked about. It wasn't something that my family was very open about. My dad didn't know that there were psychics and empaths and all of that in his family line. my mom's family is devoutly religious, and so they didn't talk about it. So who I was not someone who was able to be nurtured properly for the gifts that I contain as a child. And I can't find within my heart to hold that against my parents, because my parents were going through a lot. They were doing the best that they could. And in that moment, in that situation, in that memory, and in that time, that singular moment in time, I froze a crucial part of myself, a part of myself that it has taken me 3 decades, 3+ decades to unthaw and accept, to not harden myself and be cold, but to let my warmth be shown in the world, regardless of the people that I have come into contact with who want to take and use it, or who carry inner wounds of inadequacy or unworthiness and think that I'm better than them, or they think that they are more deserving of me or more deserving than me or something. I don't know their motivations, and I don't know their wounds, and it's not my place. I know that as an empath, and I feel like I'm talking to a group of empaths here, we go through these times where we get hurt. We get hurt, we get used. And we can fall into that victim mentality, and we can become hard and frozen. Or we can see that we have this greater purpose and greater calling. If it were not for spirituality, I would not be alive today. If it were not for spirituality, I would not be here with you. I would not be doing this. There would be so much more destruction in my family's life because I would not be here. And it's a truth that I've come to accept. We go through these times and we push our shadows down, and we repress these parts of ourselves, and we create shadows from our strengths because we perceive them as weaknesses. And in a purification process, in a cleansing process, we can learn how to let go of those things because they weren't ours to hold. And because, pile 2, if this is resonating with you, then you are like me, and you know there's a part of you that knows that you are exactly what this world needs so deeply, so profoundly right now. That warm, loving, tender heart, that purity, that wisdom that you hold, the experiences that you have undergone, and the things that you have survived, and the way that you truly are. The world needs you. And I understand, and I am here to hold space for the uprising of fear, for the initial resistance, the urge to repress. I will hold space for you to navigate through those here on this channel. I will help you navigate through it in whatever way I'm called to, in whatever way I am able to. Because this is a grander thing than you or I. This is bigger. That's why the message came through: within the all there is one, and within one exists all. You are part of the all, but you are also one. And you are meant to be one and united and whole within yourself. You are such a beautiful, beautiful swan. I keep seeing it, and they're showing me with that rainbow aura and just pure white wings, and even down to the beak, where normally it would be orange. It's so pure white. It's almost like angelic swan energy, where it's kind of hard to look at. And so it may make you feel unseen because that part of you is hard to see, but it's not hard to see because You're not meant to be seen. It's hard to see because the light that you have within you is so beautifully blinding that the shadows don't know how to continue to be in the shadow. They want to see that light, and they want to understand that they're meant to be loved within that light. And that is, it is such a blessing that you are able to be that in this world. Because only those carrying a light like this deal with the deepest, darkest shadows. And now I'm getting a song, and it is Hi Ren by Ren. But that song encompasses so much. And in the end, in the last, I think, minute or so, maybe two, he talks about what it meant for him to make a decision at the age of 17 that he was going to battle the energies of darkness in order to become who he is today. And what that led to was autoimmune illnesses and psychosis and all of these things. And I know that life. I know exactly what that's like. I remember my moment. I remember that moment in my life where I had a dream so vivid, and there was a shadow figure outside my window. And all I knew was that shadow figure was there for my husband and children. And this was my first marriage. And I remember saying, you cannot have them. You can have me. Take me instead. Spare them. I will sacrifice myself for them. Do not hurt the people that I love. Take me instead. And from that moment forward, my life got exponentially harder. I went through traumatic DV, if you know what that is. I don't want to get censored by YouTube. I lost a baby. I dealt with a husband who literally cheated on me with someone living in our own house as he was forcing medications into my body through my food. I dealt with a Kundalini awakening that I had no control over, and I could hear spirits, and I could feel them, and I could experience them, and I could see so much. And I was terrified. I had a doctor want to commit me. I had a spouse threatening to kill me and to take my children. And I was just so scared. I was so scared. And then my body utterly fell apart. It fell apart. I got so sick. I had my son, and everything just went haywire. And every blessing came with a curse. And it took me years to come out of that place. And we go through these things and we think, I'm not spiritual at all. Pile 2, I'm sorry. I understand wanting to reject it, but you are intensely spiritual. And I share these things with you partly because I've done it already in the world. And so I'm more comfortable with talking about it. It's in my first book, Chemistry with Kismet Tarot. But I also share it with you so that you know that whatever darkness you have seen, you have endured, you have gone through it, that you have survived and surmounted. You were never once alone. You were never alone. Let's see the manifestation of this blessing, because this is getting heavier than I expected. Oh my goodness. 3 of Wands. The 6 of Swords. And the 5 of Wands. The manifestation of this blessing is the realization that you are more than ready to move beyond all of it, beyond the pain, beyond the sorrows, beyond everything that came before. You are ready to actually get back into life and experiencing life. And I know the 5 of Wands, this is really the core central card of where it's going to manifest, but it's manifesting with you as the one that has the fire. And this is very similar to how I feel about you guys being on this channel. Is we're all sitting here and we're fighting to climb up. We're fighting to grow. We're fighting to find our place. We're fighting to find our light, but we're not fighting each other. We're fighting through the shadows, and we're fighting through the mentalities that really hold us back. We're fighting to find the right timing for ourselves. We're fighting to believe that there is a time for us. We are fighting, but we are fighting together. And that is the true beauty of going from being alone and feeling like that's all you have is where you are and where you're going, and no one else is going to be involved and no one else is there for you. And there's nothing but loneliness and sadness and confusion, to realizing that you have the power to move beyond it. You have the power to cross that river, to leave it behind, whatever it is. You have the power to leave it behind. And when you make that move, in whatever way is right for you, yes, you're solo here, but you're not alone. There are angels and ancestors and archangels and ascended masters and deities and spirit in the universe and the planets and the cosmos. All of them are all around you. They're helping hold up the pieces that feel like they're falling. They're helping to show you that there is a light beyond all of the darkness, and they're helping you to see all the different phases that you have gone through in your life, the youth, the middle, the mature, and to see the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and to see how you are the all and the one, for you to see that you have never been alone, even in the darkest of moments where it felt like there was nothing worth believing in this world. Your guides, your ancestors, your angels, the ascended masters, the whole of all the cosmic energies and all the quantum energies and all the metaphysical energies and esoteric energies and the creator itself were with you. You were never alone, but in order for you to realize your own strength, you had to navigate that as a solo journey, a solo decision to heal. And it makes you, no, not a warrior. It makes you divinity in human form. Spirituality for you is more. It is more than anything that this world is going to be able to define it as. And that struggle of how do you define the more that it is when there are no words that exist within the English language. And I don't have any like snap supercalifragilisticexpialidocious ideas on my head here for making up a word to explain it. Nothing seems to fully encompass the power of what this is in your life. That's okay. It can just be. It can be. Because sometimes it comes down to what your heart and your soul are telling you rather than the mind and the ego trying to control it. And the mind and the ego only try to control it, not because they're bad, not because you need to kill them, not because you need to overcome them, but because they really want structure. Those parts of us really want structure. So you can find a way to blend those energies together in order for the unstructured awareness, the feeling to be the structure, that floating in air and not really knowing that there is actually like any kind of foundational stone like this Five of Wands shows. It can throw our minds into a loop, and it can make our egos stutter because where's the safety in this? And the safety in this is in the truth. And the truth is in your heart. and you can teach your mind from your heart. You have a special gift with that. Let's get these energy, wisdom, and guidance for you guys. We have this Spirit of Gratitude, card number 43. And the Rose's Kiss, card number 9. We have a ladybug here. I feel like that's significant, but I'm also seeing like a dragonfly energy for some reason and a nautilus shell within here. To me, it looks like a dragonfly with a nautilus shell. So those might be significant synchronicities. I'm also seeing fish within that imagery. I can tell you that I do have one of the series readings is going to be messages from the Oracle of the Roses. Let me see. Yeah, part 4 of this is going to be Roses of Blossoming Abundance. So that might be a significant reading for you. No, I'm not trying to plug my own readings. I just want you guys to know because it's a synchronicity. But we have this Spirit of Gratitude too. And look, it is literally, I thought it was a coffee cup at first. It's literally, I believe, a lotus coming out of the top of someone's head. Gratitude is it's a hard feeling to explain because we can say thank you and say that we're very grateful for things and very appreciative of things. And, mentally we are. Why? Because it's great. There's somebody who understands. When that gratitude grows from a higher level of awareness, when it comes through your mind as though it is an ineffable truth, again, that same energy, that gratitude doesn't mean what it means to the world, to you. It means more. Just like spirituality doesn't mean what it means to the world, to you. It means more. When you allow yourself to feel that, the thorns no longer stab. But it doesn't matter whether the roses are blossoming or whether their petals are withering and falling. What matters is that you understand divine love on a level that the mind can never unravel anymore. And that means that you are able to integrate all the shadows back into the strength of the truth of who you are, back into the whole, into the all, into the oneness within yourself. Pile 2, the blessing, the biggest blessing that you have. How do I say this? The biggest blessing you have is in the elevation outside of the shadows, while simultaneously existing within the shadows, because you are all. And the thawing of the top so that you can move beyond the frozen parts of you feeling anything other than loved. This has been a beautiful reading. I am so deeply and profoundly moved by this energy and by this message and by you, Pile 2. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to your guides, to my guides, to the whole of everything, to all of the energy and spirituality and everything. Thank you to the Creator. Thank you for always being with Pile 2, for always lifting them up. Thank you for bringing them here so that they could hold this for a moment in communion and in community and in a safe space. Thank you for seeing pile 2. Thank you for showing me their essence and their energy. Thank you to pile 2s, the collective of pile 2s, for being here and open to this reading for me to read this energy. And thank you for this connection, for the sharing of the truth, and for the wisdom. Thank you for the blessings for pile 2, but also the blessing of pile 2. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, pile 2, I need to go cry. Thank you guys again. If this resonated, you guys want to support my channel, there are all the fun YouTube things. If you guys find resonance within any of these synchronicities up here and you look them up and you want to share, please do. And I said this in pile 1, that is not me trying to push you guys to keep interacting with my channel. I want you guys to know that you have a community and know that you have a support system and be able to help each other. And I want to be able to help as well. If you didn't get the card, it will be in the community tab on my channel. And if you guys want to support in other ways, there are links in my description box for my author page and for donations. If you just want to send an energetic thumbs up that you guys are gliding, I'd love to receive that. All right, pile 2, I am going to leave you here. I love you all so much, and I will see you at my next reading. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you chose the third card, the card 25, and the crystal anandalite, as well as the Othala or Othilla rune, this is your message about the blessings from the crystals. So before we get going, I did mention this in the intro. If you skipped it, no big deal. But I've been channeling different synchronicities and journal prompts because I want to create a more interactive energy here and help you guys to be able to take something more out of this and expand yourself even further while also having guidance and support through it. So I'm going to show this to you guys. If you want to take a screenshot, please feel free. If you're not the screenshotting type, no big deal. I do have images of them all, and after this goes live, I will put up a community post that has the card, this card, as well as the runes, so that if you guys want to do any kind of digging or, if you feel called to utilizing any of the journal prompts, please feel free. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into your channeled message. So pile 3, the channel message I got from you is cosmic consciousness is a journey, not a destination. And the journey is one of stripping down to the bare bones of existence within oneself first. And as this occurs, so too does the outer world begin to be stripped down. Here is where fear is found, for the illusion-weaving trickster, it is manifested in this reality. When the tricky fear no longer holds sway, the truth is rebirthed from within, the heart's pathway. There is a truth ready to become a blessing and to become tangible today. You belong to the physical and the metaphysical in a beautifully unified, harmonically from within your being way. All that has been stripped has been for you to create where you belong in the physical. Sometimes we must accept things our minds do not fully understand, but nothing of that is from a villain-esque intention to harm you from the universe. It is to show you the truth which fear has perpetually blinded you to. You have always belonged. When enlightenment comes, we find greater connection to this life, this world, and to ourselves. Connection does not mean you are subjected to things, ideations, illusions, which you do not hold as truths. It means you hold the wisdom that comes from empathy, compassion, forgiveness, and unconditional love. Where you build your truth of belonging moving forward, it is gifted to be your blessing to bring forth. Something unique happened with you and the cards, pile 3. As you can see, 2 of them are already upright. And normally I would have put them back into the deck and been like, okay, can I get cards that aren't being shown to me right away? But that didn't feel right in this situation. And I get why. So we have the card 10 with close encounters and the card 36 with seeing beyond. And these represent energy, wisdom, and guidance for you right now. You have some of the highest level energy. You're the pile that I'm always like, who are you? You're my Reiki masters, my Reiki grandmasters. You are star seeds, but you're so much more than all of those labels and identifiers. I've noticed something on this channel with this community that as I grow and change, so too do you guys grow and change. And with that, we're able to see more of each other. I show you more of myself and open more of myself up. And at the same time, your energy becomes more than what it used to be. That tells me that this community, this channel, and especially you, pile 3, because this has been an ongoing thing for pile 3s, especially you. I'm seeing this image of, it's like Looney Tunes where the Roadrunner is running and the coyote keeps putting up like a brick wall or a cement wall. And the Roadrunner is going so fast and it's just like, that's not going to stop me. And it busts through and goes beep, beep, and then just keeps running. And it's because the Roadrunner knows the coyote is tricking it. It's trying to trap it. It's trying to stop it. But the Roadrunner has a mission, has a purpose, has a path, and it will just keep going. And in this way, what this is showing me about you guys is, first of all, you guys have like an incredibly intense, awesome inner child, because any inner child that brings out the Looney Tunes is my jam. But it also shows me that you guys do not look at blockages or obstacles or gateways or gatekeeping or any of these concepts that the world creates in order to make us feel separated and create the illusion of aloneness based off of fear of not belonging. You understand that it doesn't matter what wall is there and it doesn't matter what's on one side of the wall or the other side of the wall, because you belong. And because you are so dedicated to whatever the path is for you, you're dedicated to it. The primary energy that I get here is an energy of cosmic consciousness. Like being dedicated to cosmic consciousness, it makes me think of Colleen with Spiritualistic, where she's one of the most gentle, loving souls I've ever interacted with. I've ever been privileged to meet and work with and befriend. And her ability to transcend the physical into the cosmic is so profoundly beautiful. But there are times where we can feel like we don't belong in this world because we can transcend that much. And that journey, that is the journey that brings us to the edges of reason and rationality. It shows us so much more beyond what this physical world contains. And then we come back and we're like, well, what do we do? And I think it's I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Buddha, Gandhi. I don't remember. But the saying goes, before enlightenment, chop wood. After enlightenment, chop wood. I've been working with the gene keys with Richard Rudd and the I Ching and human design, astrology and astronomy and metaphysical science. I'm like deep in the rabbit hole of all sorts of things, like combining them together and kind of playing with different systems right now. And I'm only sharing that because somehow I feel like you guys get what that means. But as I continue to go through this, and I have worked with the gene keys on and off since December of 2021, I believe it was that I picked it up. Yeah, December 4th of 2021. December 4th. It was very prominent of a day. The first time I opened that book, and I just read the introduction of it, I literally was sitting on a fallen tree on one of my favorite nature trails here in Minot, next to the river in December, no coat because it was unusually warm. And I was reading his words and his visions and his beautiful, beautiful wisdom of the course of humanity and of the ability that we have to heal ourselves and to be more connected. And I found myself in tears out in the woods. And it has always moved me in such a profound way. And as I have interacted with different gene keys, and I can't tell you which one definitively it is, but it always brings me back to the Osho Zen tarot card and the card that says ordinariness. And it's, I think, the 8 of rainbows. And it's just somebody walking through an orchard and they've got a basket, and it's just one of the most peaceful energies. And that too was contained within the gene keys. And that has been something that I have struggled with, of finding the balance between my physical life and my spiritual life, being a mom and then being a spiritual mom, being a psychic, and knowing that, you know, there are times where I genuinely freak my kids out, or I freak my husband out, or I freak their friends out because I'll say something that they're thinking or feeling and they don't know how to take it, or, you know, I'll bring up the deeper emotions within my kids because I want them to be able to heal in real time instead of repressing and turning into shadow and inner wounds and inner blockages. I want to help them heal in real time. And in order to do that, I am helping teach them through utilizing my gifts how to recognize the emotions, how to put words to them, and that those emotions are okay to experience. And for some reason, I just had an image of a spider crawling across my desk, but also a beetle, but like a scarab beetle, but not a scarab beetle. It's in the scarab family. It's a June bug. Yeah. They look like stunted cockroaches, but they're actually in the scarab family. I just saw like a vision of it walking across here as I was talking about basically teaching my kids emotional intelligence and active healing. And these are things that they struggle with because they're still kids in this world, in this modern day society where likes and followers and subscribers and all of these things are a huge proponent of what this world is beginning to define as worth and value and acceptance and status and all of these things. And I struggle with that. And I might be aging myself here, but I grew up when dial-up was just starting. My internet, the first internet that I ever had on my computer was like a I think it was a Dell desktop computer, and it was an AOL CD that you put in the CD drive, and you had to dial up, and that was how you got onto the internet. It was through a CD download. There was no browser, nothing like that at that time. I grew up in the days in which you had to go and get a phone card so that you could call your friends long distance, because the long distance rates were astronomical. And once you ran out of time on your phone card, that was all the time you got. I didn't grow up in text messages or Snapchat or even YouTube. Guys, spoilers. Me and YouTube, I did not start even watching. I had never watched anything on YouTube until 2020. And the first thing that I watched was, I want to say, a tarot video. And frequency music and meditations. And so this 3 years later, this is where I'm at. But when you're trying to navigate this world and you have this extreme natural higher consciousness, this cosmic consciousness, understanding that before enlightenment, you're going to be chopping wood, and after enlightenment, you're going to be chopping wood, that there is a beauty in being ordinary. That's a journey that takes time, because we transcend and ascend and awaken and go through that process over and over and over and over again. And every time we do, we go higher. Every time we do, we have more encounters with higher beings, with higher energies. Every time we see further and further beyond what this physical world exists as. And then we come back and it's like, what do I do with all of this? Do I sit with it? Do I share it? Do I write about it? Do I paint about it? Do I create videos about it? Do I create something about it? What do I do with it? And so we get focused on that. And sometimes our life falls to the wayside. And then we start wondering, where do I belong? Where is my place in this world? And I hit this point recently where, aside from this channel, I just felt like I didn't know where I belonged in this world. I was struggling as a parent. I was struggling to heal. I was struggling as a wife. I was struggling physically. I was struggling through family issues. I was deep in the throes of struggle and pain and anguish. And before I continue, I do want to mention that I just was drawn to the time, and it is 3:33. So repeating threes may also be significant for you. But my point here is, I've been in that place where I didn't know what to do and how to fit into this world. And I didn't feel safe being me, all of me, out in the world, being a mom and being a wife and having these wounds and having these pains and having these things that I need to heal, but also having this blessing of a gift that I have to be able to channel, to be able to see deeper into energies, to be able to shine light in places that people need it. I didn't know how to ameliorate those things. And so I swung from one extreme to the next. I went extremely spiritual, and I was essentially gone for a year while still being here physically, because I was so high in the ethers and trying to teach myself from that higher level how to ground myself, and not doing it well, guys, because I really loved the ethers. Really love the ethers. It's super fun up there. But I didn't know how to connect to my family. I didn't know how to anchor myself here. One of the reasons I love my dog, Willow, so much is because she gave me a grounding point here in the physical world. But over time, when you get hit and knocked down enough, because you have this ability to be in the higher consciousness, that cosmic consciousness, because you have that natural gift, that natural blessing within you, pile 3. People see it and they want it. or they don't want you to have it because it makes them feel some sort of way about themselves. And that's not your fault. Number one, it's not your fault. The reaction of another person. That is not your fault. You did nothing wrong in being yourself. You have never done anything wrong in being yourself. Every version of yourself, even the parts that you're not proud of, it's never been wrong. This is your journey. And it can make it hard for us to want to connect. And so I swung to the opposite side and I really disconnected. Channeling was one of the hardest things for me to do. I stopped journaling for months on end and I was not able to read books. It was the textbook definition of depression, except it wasn't a depression I had ever been aware existed. And it's because I didn't know that there was really any place that I belonged, because I started feeling like I didn't belong in the spiritual community or in the tarot community. And I didn't belong with my family. And I didn't belong in the working world. And I didn't belong as a healer because, I have a genetic condition. And I felt like there was no place for me. And at the same time, simultaneously feeling like there was no place for me, I felt like life or death didn't matter. It was not wanting to unalive myself. And that was not something I was accustomed to either. It was literally, there was just nothingness. It was like floating in nothingness. And I didn't know how to find my way back. I didn't know how to get through it. And it took my grandma passing away and her just pelting me with spiritual messages to pull me out of it. It took excruciating physical pain because my emotional pain was so severe that I didn't know how to feel it. And so my whole body went haywire and I couldn't function. I could barely move. I was in so much pain. And I finally committed to asking for help. And I know I've talked about this before, but when I committed to asking for help, things changed for me. And now I'm not fighting or striving to find a place to belong. What I'm doing is I'm carving my place in the world. And I'm sharing all of this with you guys, this intensely personal stuff, because part of my purpose here is to make sure people know that they're not alone in the pain that they experience, but that they can transcend it. And there is more, and that the pain is not all there is. And that there is help out there. In so many different ways, there's help out there. You have a beautiful, beautiful blessing of a gift that can feel incredibly alienating. But it does not mean that you don't belong. And that message came through so many times, so strongly when I was starting to work with this energy, when I was channeling the message, all of it. And it keeps coming through over and over again. You belong. You belong. Undoubtedly, unequivocally, unconditionally. So let's take a look at the tarot cards. These are the manifestation of this blessing. Well, I'll be. We've got the Queen of Pentacles, the Five of Wands, and the Ten of Wands. Take a deep breath. Don't be dismayed or alarmed by the Five of Wands and the Ten of Wands, because these two cards right here, this is about you coming back down from the ethers and grounding yourself. Realizing that as you nurture and chop wood, as you take care of your surroundings and your environment, as you take care of your physical form, drink more water, get more rest, do things for the enjoyment of it, not just because it's going to elevate you to that next level, not just because you can see beyond, not because you've had all these encounters and you've had all these interactions, but because it makes you feel loved and nurtured and cared for and like royalty within your own right. And it helps you be grounded, but be grounded in a way that you're not skewing back down into the shadows of the world. You're able to see, I have this higher level. I have this higher awareness, and I am able to sit here and know that what I'm nurturing is meant to be in this world because I am meant to be in this world. This right here is the help that you've been given. The second help is asked for. Look at these wands. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this card, but that wand literally has a face on it. Even the wands are saying, let me help raise you up. Let me help get you to the light that will give you what you need within your lantern to navigate through this cave of shadows. We will hold this up for you to rise up. Even here, even though he's lifting his arm up, he's also holding his leg up. And this right here, the 10 of Wands is usually about a burden upon your back, but this is about the help that you have in carrying that burden. You have help through all of this. Why? Because you understand more and you see more. And one of the things that I carry in my heart and in my soul from my doctor is she looked at me the day that I broke down. I looked at her after my grandma died. It was like 3 days after my grandma's funeral. And I looked at her and she said, "How are you?" And I said, "I haven't seen you in almost 6 months." And she goes, "I know." And she held her arms out to me and she hugged me and I dissolved into tears. I told her everything that was going on. I told her about my pain. I told her about the anguish, the emotions. I told her everything. And she looked at me and she said, after I told her that I knew I knew 3 weeks prior to my grandma passing, I got a message that she was going to pass. And I just carried that. I carried it like a weight around my shoulders, my arms, and my heart. She said, people with big gifts like yours need a big support system. It's okay to ask for help. And that changed my life. It utterly changed my life because I was sitting with someone who had saved my life time and time and time again. I had asked her for medical help time and time and time again, but here I was sitting there not knowing how to ask for help, not even knowing what help I needed, just knowing I needed help. And she saw exactly all of it. It was an incredibly tangible, physical interaction in the real world, in this world, in the physical world, however you want to call it. And it was one of the most profound, higher energies of seeing beyond, of spirit so tangible. And I share this with you because when you are moving through a blessing of realizing that you belong, that means that the journey to realize that has been super exciting and super, super painful. In my understanding, in my experience, this is what it has been. And if you resonate with this message, it's because you were not alone. And because if you're resonating with this message, then you belong to the collective of Pile 3. You belong to the community on this channel. You belong to this soul family that my heart calls out for. that my heart opens up to, waiting, anticipating, excitedly to connect. You belong. And you being here and resonating with this message is evidence of that for you on a very tangible level. So we're going to see what lights and shadows are balancing within you. Shit. Reality check. Assessment, exploration, honesty, and determination. And the shadows are indifference, inactive, misguided, and unmotivated. My first therapy appointment was basically a trauma dump. But I opened the therapy appointment with, I can't write. I haven't been able to write. It's been a year since I have written a book. It has been two years since I had a blog. I'm not writing for other people, and I wasn't writing for myself. And she said, why is that a problem? I said, because when I don't write, I feel like it's like walking around with no arms and no legs. And I don't mean to diminish people who experience that. It literally feels like there are parts of me that are carved off in a way, and I feel broken. I feel outside of everything because it is such a passion of mine. It is so important to my heart and my soul on this journey. And it can just be journaling, but it is so important for me. And I was denying myself because of imposter syndrome, because of pain, because I didn't want to get lost in creativity and lose my connection to my family, because my family felt like it was crumbling down around me. And she looked at me and she said, have you ever heard of fight or flight? And I was like, yeah, I live in cortisol. That's my normal. She said, there's something called freeze and fawn. You are so far from fawn. You're in freeze mode. And I said, what? She said, you're in freeze mode. I go, is that why I feel stuck? And she said, yeah, you're frozen. And of course, I'm a natural investigator and researcher. I dove deeply into that. That was one of the biggest reality checks I've ever had in my life, was this realization that I had undergone so much trauma. From January of 2023 until October of 2023, I had gone through so many trauma triggers and so much pain and so much anguish and so much stress and everything that I had hit rock bottom of trauma in a way I've never been before. And it was that moment that I said, I am going to get myself back up. As I got back up, I learned, and I'm still learning, how to balance these energies that you're being brought into awareness here as your blessing. This balancing of creating your space in this world. Pile 3, the balance comes when you take an honest assessment of all of these things. That's why I felt so strongly like your journal prompts are so important. If you are that style, if you journal, if that is something you're called to, they're so important, because it is not just about the emotionality and the shadows. It is about the future vision to help you get out of that strain and that stress of not having anything, of living in the ethers but not knowing how to live in the world, or living in the world and not knowing how to reconnect. It's the bridge, that honest view into yourself so that you can see that you are literally of this world and yet you are mystical and magical. The blessing for you is that there is help everywhere. You do not have to carry the load of trying to find this balance alone. There is help in many, 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 many places, and you have a great strength of heart within you, an ability to be able to envision yourself out of this, and you can hold that as your truth of where you are heading right now. And I just saw 3311 on the clock. Were you guys the ones that I saw 333? I can't remember if it was this pile, but I definitely am fairly certain it was this pile plus your pile 3, and we saw 33. This is a lot of threes. Okay. Pile 3, this is the message I have for you, and now it's 3333 on the timer. Wow. Okay. This is the message I have for you. I love you guys so much. I want to say thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you to your guides, to my guides, to the Great Spirit. Thank you to the cosmic energies. Thank you to all the fae and the creatures of the earth, of the roots to the trees. Thank you to the animals. Thank you to every part of this physical world for coming forward and reaching out to wrap loving arms around pile 3 so that they know energetically, internally, mentally, emotionally that they're not alone, that there is help, and that they belong here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the energy and for the collective of pile 3, for the resonance and the understanding and the awareness and the connection. Thank you. And thank you for Willow letting herself be known that she is ready to get up from her nap. Thank you for that, love. And thank you again for pile 3. Thank you. Pile 3, if this message resonated, if you guys would like to support my channel, there are all those fun YouTubey things that you can go ahead and do, not required. If you guys do find anything interesting within the journal prompts or the, synchronicities or whatever on this, and you want to share it on the channel, whether it's in the comment section or on the community page, I strongly encourage you guys to do that. I want to be very clear, it has nothing to do with me trying to drive support or interaction with my channel. I want you guys to know that you have a community here where we can share and build and grow and heal together. That is what shift I'm trying to make within this community for all of us, myself included. So please feel free to share those if you feel so called. They're the same links as always in the description box for donations and to my author page if you feel called. If you guys don't want to interact at all, but you want to be able to say thank you without having to acknowledge, the being so public about what pile and everything, I definitely understand that. An energetic hug or gratitude, it will always reach me. Guides know how to get it to me. And I hope you feel mine coming to you. Pile 3, thank you again so much for everything. Thank you for being here. I love you guys, and I will see you at my next reading. Bye. Hello, pile 4. If you chose the 4th card, the card 27 with Golden Healer, as well as the Hagalaz rune, this is your message about the blessings from the crystals. And if you guys missed the intro, one of the changes that I am making to the channel is to help make this more interactive. And in doing so, I have been channeling different synchronicities, different signs, different images that I'm getting. And this time I got specific journal prompts for each pile. So if you wanted to write these down or screenshot them, please feel free. If you are not all about the screenshot life, I totally understand that. I do have an image with the Golden Healer card, the rune, and the note card here for uploading it. It will be on the community tab on my YouTube channel page. Once this reading goes live, that way you guys have a reference point for it. And if you guys want to share anything with each other and kind of, ping off of each other different meanings and understandings that might help one another, please feel free. Okay, pile 4. Number 1, I have the Tower card here on the back of the deck energy, and I contemplated not putting it out, but the Tower energy has been so strong in this particular pile since the second I started working with the card and the rune that it does not at all surprise me to see it out here. I'm going to jump directly into your channeled message here. So with the Golden Healer rune, the first thing that I got was Chiron. Chiron retrograde, as well as animal familiars. When I started tapping into your energy, my cats, my dog Willow, even Chunk and Jade, our other 2 dogs, were all just like congregating around me. So it felt very significant for your pile. So pile 4, first of all, I want to let you guys know that I am offering Reiki for remembering your inner strength, and if you choose to accept it. And I'm putting the intention of it flowing through this reading and remaining with you for the next, I heard the word fortnight or 2 weeks, for whenever you come to this reading or if you ever return to the reading. For some of you, this will be a message of portent for things yet to come. For others, you are in this process already. And for a select few, I'm getting like 3 or 4. This is long past, yet reemerging, for the time is here for completion and deep healing. Hagalaz, hail. It is a crisis energy, a moment of destruction, which necessitates a clearing and deep down to the origins of your very soul kind of energy healing to become the golden master you came here to be. Chiron's mythology is a tragedy of errors, sacrifice for the sake of cessation of unnecessary suffering, abandonment, betrayal, mistakes, and perpetual painful living. This is what many know of Chiron, the crisis, the arrow, the poison, and the exchange for Prometheus, which granted immortalization in the starry cosmic skies. Chiron is also about love, pure and true, outside of parentage and one's own people. It's about the blessings from the pain and the worthiness which is inherent within us all. Chiron is seen as the wounded healer, that place in the sky upon our birth where our immortal wound hits and persists, life after life, experience after experience. We see through this lens of pain and forget the wisdom, the full story. We forget that Chiron is the chosen, adopted, beloved son of Apollo. He was a teacher and mentor for the warriors and other halflings such as himself. He was the archetype of the transcendence of pain, betrayal, abandonment through the light of the sun, and thus this is what you are asked to bear in mind. Pain and crisis comes like hail beating down upon the life you're living. Through your light, your love, and the warmth of your sun, inner and astrological, you are gifted the ability to melt the hardened balls of ice to water, creating fresh springs and streams, cutting a new path through the land and cleansing the most destroyed parts within you. This time of destruction, chaos, and crisis, it is not abandonment nor betrayal. It is your ascension, your elevation, your higher awakening. Yell if you feel, scream if you must, let it all out, so your sun may return full and bright to this life and the world. And pile 4, you are never alone, and you have always been loved unconditionally, even in the greatest moments of turmoil. After this, I was called to actually reading the passage from the Golden Healer, from the Crystal Wisdom Healing Oracle. And there were 2 lines that kept popping out, wanting to be shared. The first one was, your abilities needed honing, and those who heal are soul scoured to develop empathy. And the second one was, healing flows through you. It is a process. It's not something you do. We get caught up in what healing means. And we forget that we're conduits of healing energy. Pile 4, the reason why I said the Tower card is so prominent is because with Hagelas combined with the Golden Healer and the message of a soul scoured to develop empathy, this life is not always the easiest. And those who carry the brightest lights are often the ones who get beat down the hardest. And I wish that that was not a truth that I have come to understand in my life. But at the same time, I don't wish that, because every moment of being knocked down, of being destroyed, it is so hard. It's so challenging. But you are still here and breathing and living and experiencing this life. You are still here and moving forward. You are enduring tower after tower and chaos and crisis, destruction. But it is not for nothing, even if it feels like it is. One of your journal prompts talks about blessings in disguise. Back in late October, I was listening to a Bahati Life reading, and she said, this is about who you're becoming. Who are you becoming? And I kept asking myself, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And it was like the second I heard her say, who are you becoming? A light switched on. And I was like, God, that makes so much more sense. Who am I becoming? And I took a step back to look at the year that I had in 2023 so far. And it hasn't been easy. I mean, I've been talking about it for the past couple of months. It has not been an easy year for me. And that's okay. Because through that, what I realized is I have had an abundance of blessings. Every single one of them have come with a tower moment. So they have been true blue blessings in disguise, because you wouldn't think that the loss of my grandma was a blessing. But she snapped me back into my body, back into my life. She made me realize how important life is to live and what it is that our legacy left behind really means. And she continued to reach out from the spirit realm to me. And my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And I remember the day that I found out, and I collapsed to the floor in my husband's shop. And I'm telling you guys, the shop, the floor is disgusting, but I couldn't breathe. Couldn't breathe. My mom had stage 1 breast cancer, but I couldn't breathe because I was suddenly 10 years old again on the side of the road with my dad dead on the ground. And it was my hands on his heart when it stopped. And in that moment, so much of my life and my perception and everything had shattered within me. And I didn't realize the depth of fear of losing a parent that I continued to hold on to. I didn't think about that because my mom is impervious. She's it's never been a concern. It's never been a worry. It's never been anything that would be anywhere where I would be like, oh yeah, that just makes total sense for me to fear that. But the second that she said she had cancer, no matter how early stage it was, my first thought was my mom has cancer. I've watched this disease kill someone in their 30s who was a friend of mine. I have seen it. I've seen the wickedness of it. And I was 10 years old again. But in that moment, I realized a deep fear that was holding me back from letting go of pains of the past that just didn't matter. I'm going through hormone replacement therapy right now. I'm 36 years old. I have, over the course of 5 years' time, had a hysterectomy and then had my left ovary removed. And this year I had to have my right ovary removed alongside a tumor. And it was thankfully benign. They caught it, but they said, we caught it before it turned into cancer, and we never get to make this phone call. And I said, I'm never on the receiving end of these kind of phone calls. So my hormones are off kilter, and it's a balancing act. My point here is every single moment of a tower moment in my life this year, I sat down and said, who am I becoming? And I looked at these moments. I stopped running from them. I stopped hiding from them. I stopped shielding myself from the emotions of them. And I let myself feel them and see them and realize in every single moment where my foundation has been shaken or shattered, a constant in my life has been removed. A truth that I thought was impervious to change has changed. Every tower moment that I have had, every pain, every anguish, there has been a blessing in it. And in that moment, I was able to realize that what blessings in disguise really teach us is about our essential worthiness. It teaches us that if I am worthy of receiving these blessings in these moments, so painful and so challenging and so hard, then I too am worthy of receiving blessings without that. And it makes me worthy of receiving. And that has been a really hard thing for me to heal within myself because of the amount of pains and traumas I've been through in my life. I'm sharing this with you, Pile 4, because the energy that I feel in your pile, because it's so mixed with where you guys are at on this journey. One moment, guys. All right, Pile 4, I apologize for that. And I want to say thank you so much. I know it's just like a mere second when I say I'll be right back. But my daughter called. She was having an anxiety attack at her speech meet or her speech practice, and was asking permission to get a ride home with one of her friends. I believe where I was at is about essential worthiness. When you go through a lot of pains and a lot of anguishes, and like I said, with this pile, because it's so mixed on the stages and the places that you're at, it can all feel very new. And even knowing that this is coming for some of you, and it may not come in the ways that I'm describing. These are just my ways of helping you understand that I get it. I've experienced it, so you're not alone in it. But we look at blessings in disguise, and we can sometimes lose sight of the blessings. This kind of journey, the Golden Healer, the Hagalas, the Tower kind of journey, none of it can feel like blessings a lot of the time. And that's okay. That is okay. The wisdom is contained within you. I resonate so deeply with the soul scoured to develop empathy, because it feels like that is a huge journey of most empaths in the world. They go through some of the darkest experiences. And there are times where they lose sight of why. And pile 4, this reading is meant to help you remember why you go through it. It's so that you can see, so that you can be very honest with yourself about whether you really view all of you as worthy, whether these moments have shrouded you in shadow and pain, or whether they have elevated you, and what you can do with it wherever you're at on your journey. Let's take a look at the tarot cards. These represent a manifestation of the blessings themselves. So we have the Hermit, the Six of Wands, and the Empress. This is beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I want to tell you guys, as I was shuffling the tarot for your pile, I kept getting like chunks of cards that would fall out. So there was like, one of them was the Hierophant, but behind it was the Three of Swords. And then there was like a smattering of other ones. And then there was the Star, but it was also paired with the Seven of Wands. And I was like, oh my gosh, this blessings in disguise energy is so strong. It's so powerful. But here, this manifestation of how the blessings come out is so beautiful, because what I was talking about in that revelation of who am I becoming, and looking at these things and evaluating the blessings and evaluating how they came into being, that's a hermit journey. It's this inner realization that we go through, that we look at these things that we've experienced and we say, okay, what is this teaching about my inner world? And that comes back to the message that healing flows through you. You don't have to do it. It's not an action thing for you to do. When we go through healing, more often than not, it's about allowing things to flow through us, allowing things to pass through us, so that we can come to the realizations and the revelations that we need to become aware of, that Spirit is calling us to, that our higher selves are calling us to. And in those moments, it's much like being a Reiki master, where you are the conduit of healing, but you are not the one healing. The energy is doing that. Your soul is healing. Your deep origin point of your soul is healing. It is being scraped out. It is being destroyed. And it's not being destroyed in a sense of you're being destroyed and you're being broken. All of the fallacies and the lies and the indifferences and the moments of being misguided, because it's hard to see those blessings, those are being cleansed and cleared of you, so that you can see yourself more clearly, so you can see the truth of all the moments that you have truly been blessed, all the moments in which you have risen victorious from the ground up, from 6 feet below ground, rising back up. The moments that it has felt like there was no way that you were ever going to be able to get enough breath in your lungs, you have been able to find a way to breathe. It has been a true victory. And this is not about you being victorious in the outside world. This is about you being victorious within yourself, in knowing how loved you are, knowing how nurtured you are, knowing how fertile and creative and worthy and blessed you really are. And humanity as a whole has a hard time seeing that in the midst of the excruciating pain of life. And so many people become melancholic or stuck in victim mentality. And pile 4, your energy is straight up not like, okay, your energy is what I would define as insistently badass, of I will not be a victim. I am a blessing, and therefore I will be a blessing, and I am a blessing for myself. And that energy is the strength and the resilience needed, and you contain that within yourself. Let's take a look. These are energy, wisdom, and guidance, and this is lights and shadows rebalancing. I want to look at the lights and shadows first. We have Michael with blue, wise, honest, trustworthy, and observant. And in the shadow, it is fearful, disappointed, guarded, and self-doubting. This right here, this is about you moving into a state of truth, clearing your throat, speaking your truth, being honest with yourself, and realizing all these moments where fear has gripped you, where pain has gripped you, where disappointment has gripped you, where you have doubted yourself, because how in the world can you really see that you are loved and you are blessed if everything around you is consistently falling apart, if you are perpetually being hurt, or this world is so chaotic and everyone is so focused on whatever they need that they don't even consider other people and the damage that they leave behind. And right now, you're bringing that energy back into balance as you move through this destruction, whether this is an internal destruction or it does present in your external world. It's going to be different for everyone. But the truth of the matter with that is that it's giving you this opportunity to gain wisdom, to gain insight, to realize that you are capable of trusting the higher realms and the spirit realms and your higher self and your own healing, that you are able to trust rather than doubt, that you are able to really genuinely see the truth of who you are and speak your truth. Because a story like this, in however it presents itself, a story like this of you overcoming all of this, of finding victory, of creating the life that is right for you, of nurturing yourself, of mothering yourself, and of being so connected to the loving embrace and the embrace of love, that kind of story, that's the story that is of ultimate healing for so many people in the world. Your story is healing in and of itself. And you don't have to do anything to make yourself worthy of your story being worthy, because you are already worthy. It flows through you. Let's get your energy, wisdom, and guidance. I love this. A merry motive and a burst of magic. Oh, I cannot emphasize enough how much I want to hug you guys right now, because this has been the hardest energy to navigate through, the most painful, because I can feel it. I can feel it in my lower back, that sense of there's no safe space. There's no real security in life. That feeling in the sacral chakra of your emotions are not acceptable, or what you feel is not okay. But I can also feel that clearing when you realize that your joy and your happiness and your vitality and your creative endeavors and the magic that you contain within yourself, to be able to move through the tower energy, to heal through the tower energy, and to realize your inherent worthiness of blessings, that is something that no one can take from you. And that is something that is worthy of being shared. And you don't have to share it in a book. You don't have to share it in a blog. You don't have to share it in any way like that. You can literally have a conversation with a stranger on the street and save a life, because that is what this energy is capable of. It's capable of saving people, because it's your saving grace, because that's what you contain within yourself. So while I feel the pain and the anguish and the destruction, I feel that soul scourged honing of everything. I also understand the experience through my own personal perspective lens. And all I have to say on that is that you are inherently worthy, and you do not have to do anything to make yourself more worthy. Pile 4, this is the message I have for you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being graceful with the interruption, but also thank you for being here. And if this resonates with you and you choose to accept the Reiki, I truly hope you do. It's just something I want to share. I want to take this time to say thank you so much to your guides, to my guides, to the Great Spirit, to our divine creator, to the blessings that want to be seen through the pain, through the anguish, through the loss, through the destruction. Thank you for the strength of the collective of Pile 4 for continuing to move forward, for that resilience, for their badass nature. Thank you for showing them that they are not alone in this journey, and that it does have a truly higher reasoning. And I hope and pray that they feel how important they are in this world. Thank you. Pile 4, if this resonated and you would like to support my channel, please feel free to do so. You can do all the fun little YouTube things in the description box. There are the links to donate or to check out my books on Amazon. If you guys don't feel like doing that, if you just want to kind of sit down and take a break, go for it. Give yourself rest, give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, give yourself love. That is what you deserve. If you do feel called to sharing anything from what you gain in insight for other people, for Pile 4, it would truly, truly be a blessing to see everybody come together. I hope these messages helped. I hope you find clarity even deeper and further through the journal prompts and the synchronicities. And I just want to say thank you, Pile 4, for being here. I love you all. I will see you at my next reading. Bye. Through